Hello, everyone. Welcome in Neppy, Viv, Zanza, Lay, Bunny, Van, and anyone else who's joining us for this stream. Welcome in. Yes, Zanza. It's been a few weeks since we last streamed because our usual stream date and time fell on the evenings of Christmas Day and New Year's Day, which was a bit funny. I didn't actually realize that it would turn out that way, but I hope everyone had a good time for the holiday season, and if it wasn't as good of a time, then I hope now that we are in the aftermath, that this time is a bit better than that. For the stuff, I don't know if I know what the stuff is. Career stuff. Ah. Yes. Was that recent? Hello, B. Welcome in. The queue is open for anyone who would like to join the queue. Unless someone's waiting to be someone else to be the first. Hey, Nico. You're fine, Sansa. You don't have to, I wasn't asking you to mention specifics. I just hadn't realized there was something of congratulatory nature, but maybe I don't know, maybe I just forgot-y. Hello, Vanna. My new year was great. I had a good one. Yeah, I went on a trip with my mum on the first weekend of the new year, which was really nice. So yeah, I had a very positive, refreshing way to start my year. Alright, we have some housekeeping to do before we start on our queue. So the first thing, of course, is doing our hymn to Hermes. All good, Sansa. Have fun blowing up Snowy or something. And I hope your holiday season was alright. Thanks for popping in. Alright, so while I do this hymn for Hermes, as we are dedicating the stream to him, then someone else, if they would like, can choose what other hymn we say for another deity from the Orphic hymns. Hear me, Hermes, messenger of Zeus, son of Maia, almighty in heart, lord of the deceased, judge of contests, gentle and clever, O Argifontes. You are the guide of the flying sandals, a man-loving prophet to mortals, a vigorous god you delight in exercise and in deceit. Interpreter of all you are, and a propheteer who frees us of cares, who holds in his hands the blameless tool of peace. Lord of Kurikos, blessed, helpful and skilled in words, you assist in work and you are a friend of mortals in need. You wield the dreaded, the respected weapon of speech. Hear my prayer and grant a good end to a life of industry, gracious talk and mindfulness. Hymn to Hestia. We have done the Hymn to Hestia. We did that, I believe, in November because it was around the American Thanksgiving holiday. I think we've done Hestia, we've done Hera. Who else have we done? I think we've done Aphrodite as well. I feel like I remember reading that. Persephone. Yes, we have done Dionysus a few times, I think. Does Persephone have an Orphic hymn? Oh yes, page 26. It's after Hermes, actually. Persephone, blessed daughter of great Zeus, sole offspring of Demeter, come and accept this gracious sacrifice. Much honoured spouse of Pluton, discreet and life-giving, you command the gates of Hades and the bowels of the earth. Lovely tressed Praxidike, pure bloom of Deo, mother of the Erinyes, queen of the netherworld, secretly sighed by Zeus in clandestine union. Mother of loud-whirring, many-shaped Euboleus, radiant and luminous, playmate of the seasons. Revered and almighty, maiden rich in fruits, brilliant in horns, only beloved of mortals. In spring you take your joy in the meadow of breezes, you show your holy figure, in branches teeming with green fruits, grass-green fruits. In autumn you are made a kidnapper's bride. You alone are life and death to toiling mortals, O Persephone you nourish all, always, and kill them too. Hearken, O blessed goddess, send forth the fruits of the earth, as you blossom in peace and in gentle-handed health. Bring a blessed life and a splendid old age to him who is sailing to your realm, O queen, and to mighty Pluton's kingdom. There we have Persephone's hymn. Maybe we'll do Hygeia next time, because I feel like I remember someone mentioning Hygeia a different stream. So we'll try to remember that one for next time. Alright, those were our opening hymns. A few other things. So I am currently running a special discount for our lovely viewers in here today. So you can use this command anytime during the stream. It's just discount. And it's 20% off my divination services on Ko-fi. So that's for you all, because I didn't get to really promote my previous discount link because I wasn't streaming because of the holidays. So I decided to set up a different discount link, and it's valid until next week, next stream. So 1 week from now. And yeah, I might extend it as well because discounts are fun and I like discounting things for people, for my friends. But yeah, feel free to take advantage of that to get a reading in private. They're written up, so then they're good for your records, and you can sort of get a bit more out of it in terms of, you know, what sort of imagery comes through, and some like very interesting things can happen in that form as opposed to on stream where we're a bit more limited, and of course in a public channel, so there are some things you may not want to ask while it's on stream. And I really appreciate any support for my divination services, since I do these streams for free. And it's a good service to my community, of course, though it does help a lot when I can have, basically some exchange for my services. So I really appreciate anyone who is able to. Don't feel forced to if you're not able. And yeah, that's that one. I had like four things I had to talk about before we do the queue. The third thing is that tomorrow I am doing a event at the Sanctuary of the Crossroads on my Discord server. It's technically tomorrow for me, tomorrow morning, but it's in less than 12 hours. It's like, if you minus 44 minutes from now and then 12 hours from there, then on my Discord server I'm hosting an event. It's in conversation with Elle and myself about oracular work. So some ancient history, some modern application, some of our own personal experiences when it comes to how oracular work contributes to our paths of devotion and our practice. So if you would like to come along, then RSVP to that one, or maybe put a reminder in your calendar. And hopefully you can come along and listen and maybe ask some questions too. Also, thanks for your messages in the chat, Neppy. I delivered free readings for Neppy this week and they were all really cool. So yeah, it's been really good to read for Neppy. And it's good that you'll be there, Neppy, for that event. All right. And my last announcement before we start on our queue is that I wanted to do a promotion, a bit of a promo for my friend Elle, who I had just mentioned. For those who don't know, Elle, or Elle the Alchemist, as their handle is on Twitch, they're one of my close friends. They are a witch as well, and a lot of other sort of roles and labels that describe their practice and what they do. They've been a practicing witch for like 15 years, and they've been doing divination for over a decade, so over 10 years. And they just opened a shop on Ko-fi as well. And so I really wanted to mention that today because I think it's a great milestone for them to have done this. They, for as long as I've known them, they have only done readings for free. And they, for a long time, that was their way of doing things. They didn't want to charge. But now they've taken that step, really big step and an awesome step to create a shop for their amazing services. And they're really unique, in my opinion, and very, the descriptions are quite, descriptive and well written. They tell you exactly what they are about. They explain how it goes and what sort of skills and tools they use. And I just think they've done a great job with it. So I'd really appreciate if, people checked out their shop, maybe considered getting a reading, or maybe in the future getting a reading. It supports their bills and expenses as a fellow queer, non-binary person of color who is disabled. And it will, just, lift some weight off their shoulders when it comes to their necessary expenses. Though, once again, of course, don't feel forced to or pressured to. I just wanted to use my platform to speak about it because, all of the divination they've ever done for me has been so appreciated and has literally changed my practice and my life. And I don't want them to undersell themselves or undermine what they have to offer. So I will do the epic promotions on my channel for as long as it isn't annoying, I suppose. But yeah, that wraps up the housekeeping. And B, yes, it is the Oracular Work event that I was speaking about. That's coming up very soon, shortly, 11 hours, 12 hours about. But yeah, that one's going to be really good. Yes, they are really interesting, Viv. I agree. They really speak to the skills and the expertise that Elle has, in the experience of reading for so many people for so long, for so much time, without having set up a shop like this. So, even if you don't think you have the funds right now, even just take a look at the shop and maybe send them a message on Discord, or, ping them as ICB has in the Sanctuary of the Crossroads Discord server. Maybe send them some nice words of encouragement or support if you're not able to support financially at this time. But let's do what we're going to do here today in our stream, which is some readings for my wonderful community. And we have Van up first. So Van, let me know what you'd like for your reading and we'll get on it. Indeed. Also, I saw your message, Viv. After your exam tomorrow, you might treat yourself to one of my readings. That's so nice. Oh, thank you, B, for subscribing with Prime. That's awesome. And for just subscribing in general. I really appreciate it. Because a subscription is technically like a donation, you can choose to either get bumped up in the queue to go after Van, or you can, well, or you can not. I guess it's like a one, like it's a, yeah, like you can do it or not situation. It's up to you. Athena reading, specifically on this gap year shenanigans. Stuff to keep in mind while you wait. Okay. Do you have any deck preference? Yes, B, I will move you up the queue. Oops, that's wrong. There we go. Dealer's choice. Okay. Let's use our D&D tarot. And while we're shuffling up and getting this reading underway, does anyone want to share their New Year's resolutions for 2026? Or even if they have a lack of, and maybe the backstory of why they have a lack of New Year's resolutions, because sometimes people have interesting stories around that. Oh yes, that's very good that it's that you dedicate to her. That's a nice I suppose synchronicity of sorts. As I called her in, I got this really nice sort of like sunny or glowing image of her, and she was in this simple but quite an elegant dress. It wasn't like any specific style. It's like maybe a basic, like if you think of an ancient Greek dress, it's just a dress. But she looks really good in it. And I see her sort of in this like tent. It reminds me of when, you know, in movies and such, and I guess in history, they'd have a tent for like strategizing and like with maps, and they'd talk about what the strategy information is. And yeah, it was sort of like that vibe, as if she was like looking upon this reading in that way, her standing over the table. And I think it reflects as well a dual nature, because of how Athena, of course, is associated with war, even if it's like, you know, the strategy of war and, you know, not quite the same way as Ares, though she still has that depiction with the helmet and armor and shield and like the aegis and a spear. But in this case, she's, you know, depicted as this, you know, as this woman who isn't so much in that gear, but still very much within the environment that she excels in. And so I think that already sends a message around you being someone who doesn't necessarily have to appear as what people expect or people have gotten used to, but you can still very much be immersed in, you know, in your case, like your domains, in a similar way that she's still immersed in her domains in this vision. So that starts us off there. So to go over what cards we have for you today, we have the 7 of Wisdom, the 7 of Strength, the 5 of Charisma, and also the 2 of Intelligence. So what I've noticed already is that there's a lot of a lot of, I guess, vibes around choice, because we have this reading flanked by these two cards that are associated by, choice. The Seven of Wisdom I equate to the Seven of Cups, where we have the depiction of the man who's looking upon the seven cups in the clouds, and they are full of different things. There's one with like the reef, and there's like coins and all these treasures. And then we also have the one that has, a bit of a skull on it, and it's not doesn't look very good. I think it's glowing red. But yeah, that sort of depiction, as well as the Two of Intelligence, the Two of Swords, which is the one where we have the woman sitting on a seat. She's blindfolded with two swords crossing over each other. So she acknowledges that you are surrounded by choice. And it's like, it can be something that feels empowering as much as it is intimidating and scary, because choice can be both at the same time, and choice, can exist as either. In the Seven of Wisdom, there's that fear around making the wrong choice, or wanting to remain in that space of making a decision before making a move, because you don't, want to make the wrong step, or you want to make sure you have all the information you can get. It's something you're emotionally invested in. So where you are at the moment and where you might go going forward, and what it means to be waiting for, something to change, something to come through, something, a yes. Basically an affirmation in a very tangible form that tells you, here's where you're meant to be, here's where you're meant to go. He knows it's like reaching into the dark and, like this guy here, possibly pulling on the light of an anglerfish and then getting eaten up, and it's not a good feeling. And she gets that. Part of this as well, in what she's communicating to you, is acknowledgement and wanting you to know that she sees you in this, and she's got she does stand with you on this. It's not like you're being left on your own. And that there are ways to move beyond this. Like, you don't have to stand in place the whole time, because sometimes standing in place can be a bit more dangerous than making a move or changing course. Seven of Strength is our Seven of Wands, and this is the one where we see the man who's standing on the cliffside, and he's trying to defend his position, and we have the ones like poking up from the bottom, but we don't actually see who's holding those ones. And so this part of the message is all about your fight for this. So that feeling of needing to justify yourself, needing to show that you've got a handle on it. You're in control. It's not like things are going this way and that because of being incapable. But the thing is that you're not incapable. It's just the feeling, it's the feeling behind it, what's being asked of you to prove something that you never should need to prove. And she wants you to know that, similar to what was said at the start, how what people expect of you is not necessarily what you appear as, but that doesn't mean that you are not who you want to be. It's linked to this sentiment where you should be able to exist as you are without people just coming at you and questioning you and asking for justification and acting as if your decisions are their decisions, or your decisions affect them in the same way that it would affect you, which is incorrect. But people are very much used to the idea that what happens to the people around them will be a direct effect to themselves, and that doesn't mean absolve them of accountability or responsibility. It's simply an acknowledgement that happens. She wants you to stand firm in your position. She wants you to try your best, because she knows it's difficult. Try your best to learn in this time what it means to stand up for yourself, and what it means to be sure about your choices and what you want to do. What does it mean to ask yourself what you want? What does it mean to reach that point? And what does it mean to set a boundary even for yourself, in how you respond to other people and how you become influenced by other people's opinions or expectations of you. Five of Charisma. 5 of Pentacles. It may be really easy right now to focus on your weaknesses, what things have fallen short, what's gone wrong, and what places you do need support, even though you feel like you shouldn't need to ask for support. And it's like sort of a twofold thing. You're stronger than you think. You know, there's a lot more to you than maybe revealed every day or each day, because sometimes... So I think sometimes we judge ourselves based on, like, for example, what's done in a day or what's done in a week, like a specific period of time, and attributing that to our entire like existence as a person right now. Whereas it's like, you are not just today, you're not just yesterday, you're not just this week or last week. You are an accumulation of everything you've ever done, the good, the bad, the things you don't like, the things you do like, you know, stuff you would rather forget, and the things you desperately want to remember. You are all of it. And it's not just a singular, like, you're not just a singular snapshot of who you are. And I get the feeling that, you know, the reason why this thing about other people is being brought up so much is because that's becoming something that really seeps into you in terms of how you see yourself. It's as if, you know, there are 2 drawings next to each other, and one drawing is like a picture perfect, you know, almost like a photo of you painted, like a painted photo of you. And then the other one's a really crude drawing of you from someone who like didn't really know you, doesn't really care, and they just drew it. And you're constantly being handed that like crude drawing, being told, well, this is you, this is you, this is what I see, which means it's you, when like that's not reality. The reality is the painted picture. And sometimes it's up to you, and sometimes it's up to you and like some specific people around you, if they're very supportive and you feel they have a deep understanding of you, to form that better picture so that you are more aligned in which direction you're going. And even just knowing yourself more will put you in the right spot. So she's saying, you know yourself, and then you'll know your path. Back to 12 intelligence, making a choice. And I see this as well, you know, this sort of introspective look, this thinking, this pause that comes with this decision is the state that she'd rather see you in compared to, you know, this. Because there are going to be choices and changes no matter what. There are going to be crossroads no matter what. But if you're being very intentional and aware and, you know, doing the best you can, which is doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be 100%, doesn't have to be consistent even at a certain level, but, you know, just knowing these things and acknowledging the situation you're in, how you're feeling, what's influencing things, what you actually want to figure out, and then how you might figure that out, even if it's scary or difficult. Despite standing at the crossroads, funny, you'll be better equipped for the choices that you'll make, or the things you need to change, or, you know, having a vision of what you want to see and then making it happen. That is your reading from Athena in regards to your inquiry. Hopefully it helped for what you were wondering about or seeking guidance for. Everyone asking me why I left and having to justify myself frustrates me. So many people just don't get it and have said a lot of discouraging stuff. When you make a choice like that to leave anything, whether that is school, work, you know, a community, a family, a project, you know, from the small things to the big things, people are always going to ask you why and to justify it, because they don't like they don't like feeling uncomfortable about another person's choice. They don't like having to sit across from someone who has made a life-changing choice, whether for the better or the worse, which is not necessarily a commentary on your situation, just like made a big choice. They don't want to face that. A lot of people don't know how to face change and transition and choice. You know, that's why it comes up in reading so much. That's why crossroads are so important to, you know, speak about. That's why, you know, honestly, it's part of why I'm becoming a counselor and studying in that field, because a lot of us are not equipped for that, and sometimes that appears in us questioning other people. We do it too, like even when we are the people becoming frustrated because we're being questioned, sometimes we do that too to other people, whether we voice it or not, because we can feel uncomfortable with change. And it's not a bad thing to feel uncomfortable, actually. It's good to learn to feel uncomfortable, but the easy option is to question people. But people questioning you is not a reflection of the true reality of the situation, how you feel, how you should feel. And I get it, because it is a big choice, and it's difficult because no one can truly tell you if you did right or wrong. But they shouldn't be pushing on you for what you wanted to do for your own benefit, because you did it for a reason. And there comes a point where you should just trust people around you to make good choices for themselves, and if not, then just be there for them. But you are still young as well, Van, like a few of us here. So it's going to be okay. I very much trust in that and believe in that. Good morning, Elle. Star of the show, who I did my little plug for. And I saw your message about the event. I did actually plug the event. It was my number 3 housekeeping item, I think. Yes, it was my 3rd housekeeping item to talk about our event. I also made a command for you, Elle, if you want to try it. It's literally just your name. Well, your name is in the 2 letters, not the username. You're welcome, Van. It'd be tough, but, that doesn't mean you can't do it. Alright, we have B next. Let me know, B, what you'd like for your reading. And if there's anyone who's in the chat at the moment or listening in who would like to queue for a reading but you haven't yet, feel free to come on in. Depends on what kind of confirmation you are looking for. Have a good work, Elle. Okay, I get what you mean. Have a good day, Van. So I can... Sometimes people get confirmations because they want to confirm, like, a deity is around me or reaching out or wanting to make their presence known. Or it can be like a confirmation of, would it be fitting at this time to, work with or develop a connection with this deity? So to answer your question, it's yes, I can do this type of reading. It's basically up to how you would like to frame the question itself for your context. Yep, okay, cool. We'll do it in that way then. The basic ground rule, I guess, is that I do confirmations but not identifications. But then, yeah, sometimes I want to double check in case people have a different idea of what confirmation they want. We'll go with our classic right away for this one. Four cards. Oh, we have the Five of Pentacles again appearing. And some other really strong cards. So, we have our Five of Pentacles here. Temperance. We have Strength. And we also have the High Priestess. So, a lot of this is saying, yeah. Like, just straight up, yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. Because, I mean, kind of speaks for itself. But I can say a bit more on top of that. It's not just what we have, you know, at a surface level. So, I think it's funny that you ask, why do you keep getting Strength? And then we have, you know, the Five of Pentacles here, which, as I mentioned in the previous reading, has this association with, like, weakness or not being able to seek something that is right there, like help or, you know, adjacent, whatever it is that's applicable to your situation. And being in a state, a bit of a sorry state, you know, walking in the snow, a bit injured and cold. And I think it's funny how it parallels with Strength and, you know, sits between Temperance. Because it sounds to me that Athena wants you to have a bit of a how do I word it? It's like, this is a yes, definitely. But also, here's where I want you to meet me sort of vibes. Like, I need you to meet me here if we're going to do this. And by here, she means, you know, this moderation. Where you can't be all up in this and then expecting it to be all okay, because, you know, it's Athena we're talking about. She's going to want initiative. She's going to want you to find that strength. She's going to want you to make a move. She doesn't want you waiting around for her to say yes or give you permission to get, like, you know, in this card, in the context of this card, to get out of the snow and into this building, right? Like, that's not the way she's gonna go. And so it's looking like a very positive situation in terms of her giving us a resounding yes in terms of proceeding with this connection, with exploring this. But she is making a bit of her expectations and standards clear on, you know, what she kind of wants you to go in with, like what she wants you to have in mind going into this, which I think is actually pretty cool, because it's more than just saying yes. It's yes, and also here's the potential I see in you to do this. Like, I'm not saying, like, she's not saying this to you because she thinks you don't have it in you. It's because you do have it in you. You just have to go have it, like, wield it more, like hold it and know it. So hopefully that gives you a bit of insight of where things might be going and where you might go with this. You are welcome. Should have done a hymn to Athena today. She's popular. And thank you again for subscribing. For doing a subscribey. Oh, hydrate. Very important. Everyone else have a drink of water. If you don't have water, then I suppose the next best thing you have. Okay. We have Viv next. And I'm going to scroll up because I did ask about New Year's resolutions and then would like to acknowledge them. So Bunny wants to graduate this year, which is a great goal to have. B wants to be healthier physically, mentally, and spiritually. I agree with, like, I have that one too. That's a good one to have, to be a bit more like holistic in that sort of like goal of being healthier. For Van, being kinder to themselves, standing up for themselves when it comes to other people, tearing you down. Oh yes, I didn't even read that when I was reading the cards, but very relevant and true. That you should be kinder to yourself. That's also something I'm considering as well, the idea around self-compassion. Because I love to love people and I love to love my community and, you know, give to others, but I'm not very good at doing that for myself. So it's a good goal to have. While we're waiting for Viv to put their request in the chat, I am going to... Oh, there it is. Just as I said it. Alright, message from Sekhmet. On where you are in life, moving into dorm soon, having exams, and about things you journaled with her last time. I think it makes sense. Obviously, I mean, it's working with information I don't know, but I don't always need to know information to do readings. Let's get our Egyptian tarot out. I can still do the thing I was wanting to do. We're going to do an intuition test for anyone who would like to participate. I'm going to choose a major arcana card from my deck and I'm going to put it to the side while I do this reading. And you guys can try to guess what it is. So we have the major arcana card selected right here. Feel free to have a guess of what card it is. Using your intuitive senses. Then we'll check back in on this after this reading. I was about to call this the One of Cups, but it's the Ace of Cups, not the One of Cups. Alright, let's take a look at our lay of the cards. We have the Ace of Cups, or the Ace of Chalices in this deck. We have the Ace of Wands, Six of Cups, and also the Nine of Swords. I do feel like she also wants one from here. Yeah, a lot of aces, which is really awesome. I think it's one of the first things I thought of. Oh, not the O. Was like acing things. So it's kind of like a little funny when you mention, you know, exams and uni, dorms and stuff. It's like being able to ace something. Well, I believe the Nine of Swords is more so reflective of where your state of mind might be, as opposed to here's the outcome of something, or here's, you know, what I think of you. Which would be a bit blunt, which, you know, she tends to be, but that's not what she's trying to say. I feel like you've also gotten the Nine of Swords in a recent stream, but I don't know exactly. But it feels familiar, like this idea that there's a bit of that nervous energy, the sort of thing that keeps you up at night. Yeah, the nightmares, which, you know, I don't want you to have nightmares, so I hope that they go away soon if you're still having them, or, you know. Death and endings. Interesting. A death and an ending is always a beginning as well. That's a huge message when it comes to, you know, Egyptian myth and belief. And, you know, why this card is number 7 and not all the way at the end. I believe this card, this deck goes up to 30 something, but yeah, it's number 7, right? It's earlier in the deck, but it's called Death and Endings. And I'm sure you are very familiar already with tarot that, you know, death usually in these divinations isn't necessarily a bad thing or something to be scared of. It's that indication of something clearing away to bring something new in, or, you know, being able to transform or transmute something or rebirth out of something. And I think that is quite relevant to the aces that we have in our reading today, because one of the things I like to think with aces sometimes, and I'm getting these vibes for this reading in particular, is that just because aces are number 1 doesn't mean they come out of nowhere. And it's like, just because they're like one, like a beginning, like implication of a beginning, beginnings don't always start from a blank slate. Like, they often don't, really. They start from something. Even if, like, you know, you think of a baby at birth, baby doesn't just come out of nowhere. The baby grows and originates from parents, right? So there's this energy here from Sekhmet where she's trying to say that, you know, these new beginnings you're experiencing, and not just new beginnings as in, you know, these transitions you're experiencing, as you've just mentioned, you know, these transitions and new beginnings, literally that you going into them. It's also opportunities that are appearing because of work you've already done or that you've put in. It's like she wants you to see the worth in what you do leading up to things, not just the result of them. And, you know, outcomes are not the only thing that matters. And, you know, that saying, like, means to an end, it's like, it's not just, the things you do are not just means to an end. It's not just a means to what you're trying to achieve. It's everything together. So it's the water that pours out in order to fill the Ace of Cups. It's the craftsmanship that goes into creating the Ace of Wands. We also have Six of Cups here, which I think is really nice. There's that energy of nostalgia, childhood, generosity and gift giving, an exchange of something, of that, going back to that innocence around being able to give and to grow, rather than, being hardened and jaded by, well, I guess in comparison, this stark idea about adulthood that may not, it does not reflect the reality of adulthood, but this idea we may see in media, and that is perpetuated through how we speak about things and how we speak to each other. It's like sometimes it doesn't correlate, but I digress. The idea being that there's that element she wants you to reach into, that nostalgia, that mindset that you may have had previously, or one that you were trying to reach for now. Like, that makes me think of like inner child work, or forgiving the self for past mistakes or things that have happened, or kind of listening to your younger self when it comes to decisions or situations that you're worried about moving forward. Sort of asking yourself, well, have I done this before? Yes, well, I'll do it again. Or I've done this before and it didn't work out. Well, now I'm in a better spot to do it again, and I will go at it and we'll just see where things go. Yeah. Overall, there's a lot of new creative energy coming in where, as I said, not just transitions, but things that actually are coming into your path that you may not even have expected, like things that just fall into place for you in regards to things you may be worried about, emotionally, and also in terms of the direction you're going for growth and your passions. And she does see, as I mentioned, that energy around the worries and the things that you may not necessarily want to face, or maybe afraid of, basically that idea of how a fear around nightmares becoming reality. It's sort of like that, like she sees that, but she wants you to know that despite this card, look at everything else that surrounds it and is around it. This is a lot more than what this is. So hopefully that provides a bit of insight into what you are asking about. And it is genuinely looking very good. It's a very positive reading in my opinion. Okay, I'm glad it made sense. And that's cool that the inner child work was brought up and was relevant. Aw, that's awesome. You are so welcome. Because I know sometimes the readings we do together here on the stream are not as straightforward. Sometimes it's just Odin coming in and he's got it down and he's going bang, 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 bang. Sometimes it's not as easy as that. Which is not a bad thing. It's happened sometimes, but I'm glad it helped in any case. If T was going to continue trying to contact you going forward, how did it go with that other guy we spoke about last time? There was a guy like you were waiting for him to text you. And then you were like a bit unsure because you hadn't met him in person yet. Also, our major arcana card was the Lovers. I feel like there's a bit of the sun in there, like the sun at the top for what Nico had guessed. What other guesses were there? Oh, yes. But that was a good go, people. For that intuition test. Don't think that was you. This guy I went on a few dates with. Oh, okay. So you're curious if T, who turned out to be not so good, is going to try and keep... Okay, I see. Sometimes people are very bad at understanding that no answer can sometimes mean no. And sometimes people are just not taught that as well. They don't understand. So, you know, there's always the opportunity to be really straightforward and blunt and say, you know, this is not going to work. I'd rather not talk anymore, and then just block his number or block his profile, whatever you're using. But of course, yeah. It's like, it sucks because someone like that, you don't want to give the light of day, of course. You don't want to give them time or your breath, but, you know, gotta protect your own peace, protect your own self. And if that means having to bring it up, then that's what it is. I just flipped over like a billion cards. Let me fix that. We do have that coming through already with the Empress. The Empress indicating, you know, this idea around looking after yourself, pampering yourself, you know, seeing your worth and knowing that you are the person you are. A caring person, someone who wants to go out there and care, but, you know, royalty has to put themselves first sometimes. Women want to be led. Strange, weird. Well, we have this 5 of Wands, Knight of Wands, and the 7 of Cups. So I do get the impression... Oh, the light's a bit glary. I do get the impression that there is continued attempts to contact you. You know, we have this conflict card, like social conflicts. This sort of gives me those vibes of like doesn't take no for an answer, but it's like, you know, being in that purgatory of decision, not being able to make a choice, being afraid to make a choice, and the Knight of Wands, so movement as well. And it kind of links with this 5 of Wands where each person holds a wand, they're trying to beat each other up, conflicts, and we have this knight here who's wielding a wand, and this can represent him as well, Knight being movement, movement equaling continuous contact, so continuous conflict as well. So we see yourself and himself represented here. So what I'm getting is that it's highly likely that he will continue trying to contact you, because it's kind of like wanting to get the last word in, but then it's like he doesn't feel like he's getting the last word in if you're ignoring him. So my suggestion is, as I said, please set boundaries, be firm, and block him, because you don't need to have an open channel for him to say anything, right? Like, you don't need to give him the opportunity to even interact with you. Benefited a lot from being in your energy. On WhatsApp. Oops. Oh well, you got new beginnings coming up anyway, so he's old news. Yeah. Hopefully blocking him on WhatsApp will help things out, and you know, if you feel inclined, send a message to just, maybe you can get the last word in, say not doing this, get the message, saying no, however you may word it, and move on from there, because you got bigger and better things to put your attention to. You are welcome. Best of luck with things. Yes, take your time, Lay. No worries. If there's anyone who would like to join the queue for a reading, you can do so now. Lay is currently the only person in the queue, and we're going to be doing her reading soon. So you'll be next up, or not soon after, if you queue now. Also, feel free to claim your viewer rewards at the bottom of the chat. So you can claim, an oracle pull, a priority oracle pull. So I'll be doing it now. But if I start Lay's reading, then it'll be after Lay's reading. I also feel inclined towards the Oracle of the Hecatean Path, so if there's anyone who wants to get a Hecate Oracle card pull, then yeah, claim that viewer reward. Alright, let's read this message. You'd like to hear from any of the Chthonic H Club, I love that, Hecate, Hermes, Hades, Hypnos, on any guidance for your first steps with this new work you're looking into. New path unlocked as of recent. I hope I hear about this, Lay. Not forced. You don't have to tell me. And you can tell me when you're ready. Or if you're never ready, or you don't want to, that's up to you. But very exciting things, it sounds like. We're going to be doing a reading with Hecate, because she was already popping in before you even sent that. Hee, very good. Alright, guidance for your first steps with this new work you're looking into. Hecate lurking in the chat, right? You could. Alright. What guidance does Hecate have for Leia's first steps in this new work she's exploring? Now why is Dionysus coming out of the deck? Oh, another god. Hysteria. Inordia of the Crossroads. My favorite epithet. Co-sponsor. He's like half chthonic and like not even a H, but he's wanting to be part of the club as well. / lighthearted. I didn't mean for 3 cards, I just wanted 2. Alright, let's go over the cards we have. We have Dionysus, Ecstasy. Hysteria, Dreams. Hypnos kind of card. Enodia of the Crossroads, Choices. Very interesting. Six of Swords. 6 of Cups. And the 8 of Pentacles. Bit of a look over these cards. I mean, it's kind of funny, like you saying new work you're stepping into, and then she's like, 8 of Pentacles, go. It's like, it's not even the Ace of Pentacles, it's the 8 of Pentacles. Like, you know, this idea of a continuation even. And it makes me wonder if this new work that you're looking into is somewhat of a continuation maybe of something you've looked into in the past and picking up again, or adjacent enough to things you do or you currently do or used to do that it's like it's as if you're picking up where you left off. But alongside that, like, energy, we have the 6 of Cups and the 6 of Swords, which I find to be really interesting because 6 of Swords, you know, we have that transitionary energy, going from one place to the other, taking only what is important, what matters. So, you know, the story of the person packing up their things, but they can't take everything because they're only on this little boat, and then sailing off to better places, newer places. But at the same time, we have, you know, the 6 of Cups, which we read in a couple readings ago. That nostalgic aspect of things, that, you know, childlike innocence, that curiosity, that generosity. Filling cups with flowers, like, it's just a cutesy, calm, low stakes act of creation is, I guess, a cool way to say it as well. It makes me think, you know, like she's saying, Lei, you're moving forward. You're taking steps, you're going somewhere. You are making a conscious decision to travel in this boat and take with you what you take. AKA the lessons you've learnt so far, the knowledge you have, the skills you have, community and connections, all those things. But don't forget this. Like, don't leave this behind. Don't leave behind what mattered, you know, the memory, the lessons, even if they didn't, like, they weren't so nice, I guess. But also, it's like you don't have to take baggage necessarily. She doesn't want you to drag yourself along. She doesn't want you to drag the old, stinky things you want to release and like let go of and leave behind. Because she's saying like don't leave that behind. She's saying don't leave behind the values of this. The curiosity, the generosity, the creation, the being able to work alongside someone, I think is significant too. We have the two children here. They're both putting flowers into the cups. Don't discount the value of connection and partnership, of being able to share your dream, your goal, your path, your ambition. Actually, I mentioned dream, but dream's right here. I kind of forgot it was there. But yeah, it's like, that's the feeling I get. You know, you've done this before, not your first rodeo, you're getting into something, but also don't leave this behind. Alright, back to the oracle cards. I'm a bit curious about why this card is here, because it's always interesting when a deity card comes up in this oracle deck, because it can either point to the presence of a deity being significant for your situation, or it can simply be what the card represents. So ecstasy. Ecstasy is usually or associated with things like trance, channeling, altered states of consciousness, dreams, which we have dreams here, so it could be relevant. And I would say the broader concept of being closer with divinity and gods, and cultivating those relationships for, you know, some sort of work, you know, to use that language, as you said, work. It's the idea, like, when we think about ecstatic work, it has that implication of being practically engaged with. Like, you don't necessarily get ecstasy or experience ecstasis from just reading books, from just like talking about something, depending on the context, but like, you know, being stuck in the literature of things, being stuck in the learning, you experience ecstasy by doing. And sometimes it's by doing things that you don't necessarily know 100%. It's like, it's about the exploration. And I have full trust, and I think she trusts as well, that you are in a position where you don't have to be so afraid of experimentation and kind of seeing where things go. Because, you know, there's a lot of messaging out there about, you know, beginners being cautious about certain things, because if you get into something and then you mess up, or like it's not what you expected, then that can be a bit of an uh-oh moment. But for you, she has this energy, you know, of course, coming from this. You've done a lot of preparatory work that you haven't realized, or you may realize, but, you know, isn't really like at the forefront of your vision at the moment. It's not as important for you to prioritize thinking about that. But you know enough that going into this new path, this new work, or like revisiting it and exploring it and doing it in a way that doesn't only require you to do research, reading, talking about it, and like keeping it in words, or like maybe just to yourself, but like beyond that, you're going to be safe. Like, it's not going to be dangerous for you to do that in the same way that it might be for someone else who isn't necessarily prepared, or, you know, doesn't have the foundation for it. For the Asteria card, which is associated with dreams, it references how Hecate can communicate through dreams. And kind of the story behind the card is that from Asteria, who is in some myth, in like a lot of myth actually, in the context of Hecate's myth, which isn't actually very much. So a lot of her not much myth. Asteria is Hecate's mother, and from Asteria she inherits like this ability to manifest through dreams and in nighttime forms of divination. So, you know, that can be pretty flexible if you do different divination using the night or being associated with like the nighttime, or it could even be associated with the chthonic as well, because you know, you may relate to that. But ooh, you dreamt about dogs last night. Cool. Yeah. But this is basically, you know, as you've connected right here, her manifesting through dreams, and we've had a bit of that reference for altered state of consciousness. So you can look out for any signs as you've just identified from her on that, and what they may mean or represent for you. If it is like, you know, I don't know how relevant dreams actually are to this. You did mention hypnosis, and we've like spoken a little bit about that before, but I'm not sure if that's got to do with it. But in any case, dreams can be really important, and don't discount them. Take note, and yeah, kind of have a consideration of where that might be leading you, because we have this Enodia card, the Crossroads card, and I absolutely love this imagery. But yeah, it's about choice. I am unaware of what choice you might need to make for this, whether it's a choice of actually committing to this path, if it's a choice of what to do to start on this path. But to me, it speaks on how both she, like, two things. She is here for it, so she can assist you. She's present for it. You know, she is coming forward to you in this aspect. And at the same time, take heed of everything else she said here in regards to choices you need to make. Maybe it's even a choice you don't know you need to make yet, but remember these messages, look into your dreams, know that experiencing is sometimes even more important than what you figure out through research or reading. And yeah, you've got a lot behind you on this, but it's looking like a good time of, you know, transition, change, refreshing. Hopefully that makes sense for you for that reading. I'm going to hydrate. I'm very happy that it was extremely insightful. You're very welcome, and thank you for asking me that question, because it sounds very exciting for you, and I can't wait to hear about it. Alright, it's Neppy's turn, and I've just closed the queue because I looked at the time. It's almost 1 AM, so we'll do Neppy's reading and Nico's reading, and that will wrap up our stream for today. Oh, can't say it like that, Neppy. Does anyone actually want to talk to you? Yeah, I mean, you did. That's true. Let's see. Yeah. Do they have any messages to pass on? Alright, I'm putting this one down. That's Hecate is coming through for Nico, not for Neppy. We've got Hermes for Neppy. First card, head in the sand. Which is kind of funny, considering, you know, a lot of the messaging for readings you've gotten recently. Because it's that card that's all about, like, saying, you know, get your head out of the sand and not trying to hide by burying your head. Facing things and seeing things for what they are. Ooh, the light. That's a cool card. Clouds clearing away. So your sky becoming clearer, light shining through, being able to see, being illuminated. I find it interesting that there's an umbrella here. Because I do get the impression of, like, for you specifically in this case, like clouds moving away, revealing the light. I suppose, like, if you've been holding the umbrella, like it was just storming, and then you've been covering yourself and then the clouds move away, then that makes sense. So the significance of that being that you're able to lower the umbrella, not needing to be so protected. Look at the Sisters card. That's interesting. Sisters. Do you have any sisters, Neppy? Ah, I see. You kind of gave me only child vibes. Which is not a bad thing. Because it always sounded like, you know, when you're doing like farm work, you're doing it by yourself, or like you're doing it on your own. And I feel like if you had siblings who would help you with that, then it'd be a bit more apparent. That was my line of thinking. Well, sisters doesn't necessarily have to refer to like actual sisters you have. It can be around the concept of sisterhood. So connection and, you know, being around people who you like feel connected with, able to share things with. He wants you to keep trying to find that because it will benefit like what's being read here in terms of, you know, having that sense of sisterhood or friendship or connection with others on a level that allows you to feel comfortable getting your head out of the sand and to face the light that's shining upon you going forward. You know, that will be really good. Trying to find that, yeah, connection there. Also, there's a lot of butterfly imagery, so that emphasis on being alongside people who are on the same transformative journey as you are, rather than there being like this hierarchy, right? Because sisters, they're like on the same level of like a family tree, as opposed to, you know, a parent and a child. Ew, the tower. But the oracle version of the tower. Sometimes you gotta blow things up to make things happen. What have you got to blow up? What's gotta go? what have you got to shake up? But really, like, the tower is about destroying like beliefs and systems of the past that don't serve you anymore. And I do think that correlates with what we've been reading so far, right? Like, how are you going to make all of this happen? How are you going to find what you need to find, what you want to find, face what you need to face? If you're not challenging your past self who may not have accepted it or wanted to face it, right? There we go, though. He wanted 4 cards, so that's your reading with Hermes. You are welcome. All right. Lucky last is Nico. Oh boy. Just gonna give you a chance if you wanted to clarify or change what your request is, because I did see you said a vibe check with whoever shows. So just let me know if you still want that, or if there's something else, or a different way you want to word it, so we know what we're gonna go with. All right. Well, Hecate made it clear that she wanted to read with you as well, so let's get into that. What her vibe check is, her message. Wow, a lot of strong energies coming through. So far we have Psychopomp, Soul Guide, Transition, Gorgo the Grim, Fear, and we also have Cathonia of the Earth, Stability, with a very interesting depiction. King of Wands, oh, okay, I wanted 2 cards, but I guess it gave me 3. 10 of Pentacles and the 2 of Pentacles. Lots of Earth. Cathonia, Earth, Pentacles, Earth. You know, the Psychopomp transitioning someone from the Earth onwards. Yeah. I find it so interesting that we have the transition card and the stability card, and in the center is fear. It's like, you know, a lot of the time people associate transitions and stability to be like two sides of a spectrum, or 2 sides of a scale, where one weighs down the other. And if you are transitioning, you can't have stability, and if you have stability, then you can't transition. Which is a very interesting parallel here. maybe that fear is also coming from like a similar vibe. Like I don't quite know the exact details of that, but I feel like she talks a lot about like the liminal and like nuance and things, like how one thing can be another thing at the same time, and how seeking out one thing doesn't necessarily discount or what's the word? It's not disqualify. It's something like that. It's like you don't have to just have one, and it's not bad to have both. It's not bad to have one or the other as well. And I think it's this interesting thing of like, despite like no matter where you're at, you're still going to like, there's still that sense of fear. Like when you're transitioning, you fear like what's to come or what it takes to transition, where you're like leaving behind what you are transitioning from. And even stability, it's like you fear like, what if this locks me down? What if I commit to this and then it's not truly what I want? And also like, what if I lose this stability? We see that here as well in the Two of Pentacles. This desire to balance, to be able to stand on one leg while holding two coins. I think it may have something to do with the idea that transition involves breaking everything down, but I suppose there could be a more stable transition as well. That's true. Because we can kind of like see that in these two cards, the King of Wands and Ten of Pentacles, which are quite stable cards in themselves. You know, it's funny, we have this like more unstable tarot card and these very stable ones. You know, we have the very wonderful like card of inheritance, of, you know, riches and wealth and mentorship, and, you know, someone being able to look after you and look over you. I also like this card because it has a doggo, and dogs are a sacred animal of Hecate. Also because I associate the purple robe and the sort of black veil-like cloth. I'm not sure if they're called veils. Like, it's like a sash. It kind of reminds me of priests of Hecate. So, like, being guided by someone who like she sends. It's like people who come along your way, who drop good things on your path, and being able to inherit from that. Therefore, gaining stability through connection and inheritance. King of Wands. Very interesting considering what we've spoken about with the Queen of Wands. And I think you can kind of see that in relation, because the King and Queen, you know, it's sort of that idea around balancing each other out. And I think one of the things she's bringing up is this idea of like, where does the difference stand between these two cards? And, you know, is there something that you may be missing in the sense of like, you have this quality but you disregard it from yourself when you shouldn't? And also simply, you know, the King of Wands itself, this idea of having authority and control over the things you care about, the growth you're experiencing. You know, you're not just floundering and flying off into space when you're experiencing transitions or any sort of stability. It's like, or like, even if you don't know what you are even in, like, sometimes it feels like you're always transitioning, and sometimes it feels like you're sure about things. It's like that, but yeah, that's sort of the thing that she's bringing up now around how you may be experiencing certain feelings around, I guess, different statuses of where you can be at and how they can both exist, and either can apply to some things and the other. And how she acknowledges you're seeking this, and at the same time you have all of this, like, such great foundations compared to, like, it's like 2 versus 1. That ratio there you can observe. Hopefully that makes sense in a way that assist you with what it is you're experiencing. Okay, awesome. I'm glad it's insightful and that it applies to something that you're thinking about, or you know what she's talking about. It's always, been doing this for it's gonna be almost a year soon of doing streams, and sometimes I'm like, oh dang, what am I even saying? But it works out a lot of the time, which is good. Best of luck with whatever the situation is. You're welcome. I'm very glad that I could assist. Alright, my friends. Well, that brings us to the end of the stream, and for me, it'll be bedtime. So I really appreciate everyone coming along for our first stream of the year, coming back after the holiday season. As I mentioned, I have a discount running at the moment for my wonderful Twitch viewers, so anyone here is able to use the command discount, !discount, or if you just copy the link and save it, feel free to take advantage of that discount until next stream. Unless I decide to extend it, then I guess you can use it after as well, but yeah, feel free to catch a reading there and check out our event that's running tomorrow if you can make it at the Sanctuary at Crossroads, or today, like later today for people in, I guess, American time zones or those time zones around there. You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day or night, and I'll speak with you again soon.